Hello, everyone. Welcome to Nails and Beauty Talk. I am your host, Asia the Bird. Today, I have a very special guest with me today. She is the CEO and founder of Telle Moi. Please welcome Natal. Hello, Natal. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, you're absolutely welcome. So I definitely want to go ahead and get started by asking, where are you originally from, and tell us about your upbringing.
Sure. So, born in London, raised in London, but my mum is from St Kitts in the Caribbean. My dad was from St Vincent, so
Mm,
Caribbean, but I guess we call it Black British, probably the way. So,
yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's really, really cool. But I definitely want to get into just in regards to just beauty. Like, what are like your earliest memories growing up in terms of beauty?
do you know what? My mum has always been very kind of limited. She doesn't really do too much when it comes to beauty. So I've never really had so much. I probably learned more at school. With the
Hmm.
girls I went to school with, they used to wear like foundation and their nails always used to be like really long. So it was probably more in school. And my mum would have, I think, a little bit of nail polish, but yeah, school was definitely the main place I got to know a bit more about beauty.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. But I definitely want to get into just in regards to before starting your beauty brand, Telle Moi, because what I found very interesting is that you went to school for business and law. So I definitely want you to touch more on, what made you, have the decision of going to school for business and law, and where did you go to study for those subjects?
Sure. So I went to a university called Kingston in
Mhm.
Southwest London. And yeah, I studied international business with law. And I always, funny enough, I watched Legally Blonde. It was like one of my favorite films. And it actually made me feel like I wanted to study law. um, so yeah, that's kind of how I ended up choosing that as a subject. But I just really enjoyed it. And I've always enjoyed business as well. My
Mhm.
dad have a couple of businesses. So he used to work as like a driving instructor, he used to film weddings. So I feel like business side that really kind of influenced me as well.
Mhm. I definitely want to get into your nail polish brand, Telle Moi. So how did, Telle Moi come about, and why did you name it Telle Moi?
Yeah, so it was a really interesting process. So it basically just started off that I couldn't find the nail polish colors that I wanted. Like I am very limited I'm very kind of like muted in the nail color choices that I go for. Like I'm not really someone who ever does anything really bright or
Mhm.
crazy. I'm very love a good nude shade and love something that's really simple. But
Mhm.
I just struggled to find the kind of colors that I was looking for. And I researched one day that you can actually find and make your own nail polishes. So yeah, I just literally couldn't find the color that I was looking for in a shop, decided to come home, Google,
Mhm.
how do you make nail polish? I found some
Right.
suppliers that you can buy the ingredients and mix them together and create your own colors. So I started doing that for myself, but then, you
Mhm.
know, started making it for friends, then family,
Right.
and then suddenly you end up with, people asking you for colors and you having to charge them. So then I put them on
Mhm.
Etsy. And then it went pretty much from putting them on Etsy to actually getting people to buy, and I started to develop a little bit of a customer base through there. And then I
Mhm.
was like, right, I'll start on Instagram. And then with that, I developed a lot more in terms of the business. But the name came about. So there's a few different ways that the name came about. So I always used to call myself like Telle Noir on the internet, like just in case I didn't want people to know who I was, kind of thing. So it was like my anonymous name. But then my cousin also has a brand where she does hair, and we had named the brand together. So we had ended up naming it Chatel Noir, which sounds very
Mhm.
similar to Tel Noir, but I didn't want it to be the same. But then also,
Mhm.
I was kind of looking at different ideas, what to call it. And then
Right.
Tel Noir came about to be like, it kind of loosely translates. It doesn't actually really
Mhm.
translate, but it means like me. So I wanted a
Mhm.
brand that was obviously reflective of people who look like me. So that's how the name
Mhm.
came about in that regard. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a bit of it wasn't a kind of a straightforward journey, like this is what we're gonna name it, but that's where we ended up.
Right, definitely, most absolutely. But I definitely want to get into just in regards to, did you run into any obstacles, any shortcomings in regards to building your brand?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously money's always a bit of a limitation. I started this with about £2,000, and that was
Mm.
very much me doing it each month. So when I get paid, I would kind of siphon off £500 of my salary and use that to purchase tools and items. So
Right.
it wasn't. It's yeah, it wasn't like me going into the business to say, "Hey, I'm going to start and buy everything in one go." I just kind of did it
Right.
bit by bit, and that's kind of
Mhm.
very in how I've kept the business operating. So all of the growth and everything that I've done has been kind of very much using the
Mhm.
money that get coming back in from it. So there's quite a big initial influx of money that I put towards it, but I'd say it was a really difficult obstacle to know how to get the money together. And I think right now, in terms of trying to scale it to make it
Absolutely.
that's going to cost quite a bit as well. So I'd say money is a big obstacle. And also, I think it's just meeting kind of minimum requirements, like trying to get suppliers on board and knowing how to kind of, when you buy something from a supplier, they don't want to sell you just like 10 or 15, they want to sell you 200. So a lot of them will say, you have to meet this level, which costs way more to do. So yeah, it adds up.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to get into this in regards to your brand, because what I find so interesting is that, you did mention about, finding that shade of nude. So you create your own, sets of nudes, like brown nudes. And because when people think of nudes, they think of pink. They don't think of different shades of brown and things like that. So what was the whole process behind building your own like shade collection of like brown nudes?
Sure. So it definitely was a kind of process in just working out what colors look best with it and understanding color theory. And I think it's kind of really popular at the moment. People are discussing a lot about color theory, and I think it's really important too, because knowing browns and knowing kind of that not every brown is the same, like there's different kind of undertones. And I knew from the fact that I have a very kind of yellowy undertone when looking at certain things, and the nail polish colors that exist are very kind of, as you say, pink. Like it really is our who said nude has to be pink, because every single nail color, and even when you do like a lot of nude designs, like even what I've got on now, it's a very, very nude color, but it's a kind of nude that suits me better than it suits maybe someone who has a more pinker tone. So it's just understanding that there are undertones in the color theory behind everything, and knowing that brown doesn't just mean brown as well, or nude, or yellow tones. You can add blues and different kind of greens to colors to really get richer and deeper aspects of brown. And a lot of people don't really tend to use that when it comes to nail polish.
Yeah, absolutely. And considering that, like that's even with like, tan, if you have like the color tan or like a peachy color, they think that's a nude as well. So, I like how you're venturing into like the browns, because those could be nudes too, because it's reminiscent of our skin tone. Our shades are like from light to the darkest, like, the black of the berry, sweet of the juice, you know what I mean? So it's really cool how, you said, okay, I'm going to create a set of brown nudes, for us, for women who are, Black women, so that's cool.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just that taking that into account, because one of the kind of criticisms has always been that there's just no diversity in the nail industry at all, like even from just the hand models as well. And when you look at a color, you also want to see it on different skin tones, so whether it's you or not. So it's that kind of aspect of it as well. But there's so much that is to be changed, I think, within the industry now. So it was a good way to get in there and say, what, at least I've got these colors for us. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely want to get into in regards to the brand as well. Like, what makes Telle Moi so unique from all the other indie nail polish brands, especially like the high end brands, like the gel bottle, you got Candy Coat and all those other brands. So, what makes Telle Moi stand out?
I mean, I feel like at the moment the main thing is just that because I'm doing everything myself. So it's very much about me behind the brand. I think we've gained a really good. I say we, it's really just me, but we've gained a really good following of people who are kind of on the process of what it takes to become an entrepreneur and journey with me, and what that looks like for me. And that in itself has been kind of, I guess, really unique compared to some of the larger and bigger companies. With regards to products, it's more about the fact that I guess we care, like it's vegan, it's cruelty free, as well as making sure that the products have a variety in terms of range and color, but we're also looking at how we market, who we market to, and just kind of even using diverse models on our page, and just kind of people who email me and say, oh wow, you know what, I've never even thought to think that color would suit me. So it's that part of it as well for me.
Now, what are some of the things that one should understand when wanting to like if someone wanted to start their own nail polish brand, like what are some of the key aspects that one should understand when having their own nail polish brand, whether it's like gel or just regular lacquer polish?
So I mean, I think like the basics of color theory, I think is very important, especially if you're intending to fix it yourself, but also to understand a bit more in depth what it is that you're trying to achieve. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get to, a nude tone. I know that okay, let's say I was trying to match my own skin tone, I know that I would need to put kind of hints of yellow in it, but kind of red to
Right.
get the brown, but with black.
Mm-hmm.
So if you understand color theory, you would know how to get the right shade or the right color.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very similar to
Absolutely.
a foundation. I would also say a lot of the rules and regulations surrounding nail and gel polish, and I don't know what it's like in the US, but here there's a very kind of quite strict procedure in terms of how you report the products that you use. So we have
Right.
like cosmetics notification. So you have to register
Mm-hmm.
everything that's in your products online. You've got to make sure the labels are correct and kind of accurately say where it's from. You also have to get particular safety tests done as well, just to something that can be, hazardous to people or to their skin. So it's a lot of kind of money spent, I think, in that regard, in terms of
Right.
the safety aspects of it. Now, the supplier that I use, obviously does a lot of the testing for me, but obviously you still have to pay for it. So
Right.
that's my supplier that you have to think about doing that before you think about selling it to somebody else. And then from the aspect of the brand itself, so then, getting kind of trademarks and things like that in place just to make sure that no one can, potentially copy or benefit from your brand name as a whole. And then that's not to account for obviously getting all of the products and testing and sampling to make sure. So it is, but I would always say my advice from the beginning is just try and write everything down and try and start to go on, like have a specific folder or computer database or Excel, whatever it is you use, just knowing that you can try and keep track of everything, because actually you don't know where things are going to go. So you kind of don't know how big it's going to get. And suddenly all of that information that you thought, oh yeah, I can remember in my head, you can't remember in your head anymore. So.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I definitely want to switch gears and talk about you were featured in you were in you were in Dragon's Den, the TV show Dragon's Den. It's like Shark Tank, like here how it is like in the US. So I definitely want to go ahead and really ask, like, what was your experience being at the Dragon's Den show, and what are some things that you took away from it?
Sure. And I mean, it was brutal. I watched the US Shark Tank. I feel like personally I would never go on the US version because I feel like they're more brutal in the US than they are here for some reason, but they were still pretty brutal here. But it was an experience, and it really tested me. It tested my knowledge of my business. It tested everything that I thought I knew about the industry. And I'm glad in the end that for me, I felt like I delivered everything that I needed to know. I came across that I knew everything, and that was knowledgeable, which was very important for me. But at the same time, I didn't walk away with the money, so it's always very difficult to take into account the fact that I didn't. But it was a great experience, and it really did, I guess, open my brand up to people who have never kind of seen it before, heard of it, or seen what I'm doing. So, the messages and the emails that I had afterwards were, genuinely just lovely. But yeah, it was an experience. I would say there were some aspects of it where I walked away, and when I finished filming, I cried. Like I literally just cried. It was really sad because it just felt like it was so much work and so much energy to kind of get to that place, and then to not walk away from me. I was a bit disappointed. But I think also it took me a while, but I realized how good an opportunity it was to actually go on there.
Yeah, I seen the episode with you in it, and they were brutal, but I think you presented very, very well. I really believe that you presented your product very well. I do agree with a little bit with like the packaging. It could be pushed a bit further, but I do like the simplicity of it, because that's you. That's your brand. You don't want things all over the place if that's not something that you represent. Like, like Nails by Dev. I don't know if you heard of Nails by Dev. She's a nail artist and here in the States in Florida. And her stuff is very 90s, very colorful, and that's her brand. And I like what you're doing is very simplistic, very sophisticated, very, very, high end. And that's what you try to represent, with your packaging. Simple, high end, but it's something that people could wear. So, I think, people's brands is different. That's something that I think people should understand.
No, I agree. And do you know what? I think even with the packaging, it's everything for me is always like a constant learning process. And it was something that, I'll give you a bit of a story of the packaging. I did it early on, and I ordered like a crazy amount of boxes. And again, it was one of those things where I had to meet the minimum in order to get it done for the price.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I never spent that much money on it, because I still have like loads of them sitting in my
Mm-hmm.
couch somewhere. But it was a really good lesson in the sense that I think there are definitely some things that can be changed. I think I'm always open to positive criticism. I think it just felt like unnecessarily rude from the particular dragon and
Right.
how they portrayed it. But I would agree that there are always kind of things that I could do better and change with the brand. But
Mm-hmm.
as I said earlier, is a lot of the limit is financial. Like I think if I had the money to go and do it,
Right.
100% change everything. Um,
Absolutely.
where it is now, a lot of the time, it's like, okay, you know what, I could have done it better, but now that I've got
Yeah.
this, I'm just gonna sell what I've got, and once they're gone, then I can revise it and have a look again. But I agree. I think there's
Mm-hmm.
definitely things that I want to add, but I do want to keep the simplicity of everything. But I think I could
Right.
be a little bit more high end, maybe, in how I
Mm-hmm.
like the actual product itself. So, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely some changes, and I took away some really positive criticism from going on the Den as well. I think that's really
Mm-hmm.
important. There were some really other good things that were said that I was able to kind of take into account and put into place. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I like the minimalistic style that you have within your packaging. Like I said, there again, it represents you, but also too, I like how you did the packaging for the gel bottles.
Yeah,
So that's really cool too.
thank you. No, I really like the gels, and it's just one of those things where I always try and get input as well from everyone, when deciding these things, because at the end of the day, my customers are the ones who are going to buy it. So I want to
Right.
know what they think and make sure that it's good with them as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely want to get into nail polish collections. So, what is like your thought process in regards to coming up with a nail polish collection?
Yeah, so I've tried to keep them themed around different aspects of like the seasons, and I think seasons will always kind of play a massive impact into kind of what people choose for nail polish colors. So for going into spring now, people want to feel a little bit brighter. So I
Hmm.
usually would have like a pastel collection around this time. So we've got
Right.
kind of pastel shades, but every year I try and add something new to it. So there might be a new shade, or I might add some elements of glitter to it. I just want to kind of add a
Hmm.
little more, and then we
Right.
come into summer, and then we come to like the brighter season. So think about different neons maybe, and just anything that's kind of a little bit brighter for the year. And I
Right.
tend to theme that around carnival. So I do carnival a lot here in the UK, and that's something that I really wanted to incorporate parts of myself into the brand as well. So I do like a carnival collection, which is just filled with bright colours. But
Hmm.
then going into winter, nudes, that's our thing. So I
Yeah.
try and keep 4 kind of seasons of colours to base it around, because also it gives me some order.
Hmm.
Otherwise, I'll just start creating colours for no reason. So
Yeah, absolutely. Now, with you being a nail polish brand owner, how important is it to support, black indie, nail polish brands? Like, how important is that, especially, in the nail industry?
yeah, no, it's very important because there's not many of us, especially, I mean, particularly black owned nail brands. So I think it's just really important that we all, are kind of have a bit of a
Mhm.
community between us, because it's difficult. It is tough.
Right.
And in terms of running a business generally, I think there's a huge kind of black female business collective overall, where we
Hmm.
have to support each other in different ways. Like even now we're
Right.
running a giveaway with like other black businesses. So things from jewelry and sweets and lip gloss. Like it's just, we're all trying our hardest. And
Right.
so I think it's so important to work together, because there's some really amazing collaborative opportunities there.
Yes, absolutely. And what I like with the beauty industry is that, there's black owned beauty businesses coming out, and that's what I really like to see. You know what I mean? There's a page called Black Owned Everything. So it's everything black owned business, fashion, beauty, and that's something that's really, really cool. Her name is Zarina Akers. She's a stylist for Beyonce, and she created that platform. So it's really cool how she highlights a lot of different black owned businesses, ranging from Brandon Blackwood, Gracie J, the editorial nail, and you know different beauty brands and fashion brands and things like that. So yeah, I really like the influx of the growth of black owned businesses, and people are saying like support black owned, this is the product I'm selling, support me and things like that. So that's really cool to see.
Yeah. No, honestly, it's my favorite part of seeing us come together as businesses and just kind of
Right.
get some of that money for us, because there's such a huge market and we spend so much of our money elsewhere. I think it's very, very important that we invest
Mhm.
back into the community. So yeah, that's been a really big part of what I've been doing and why I do it, really.
Mhm. Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time with yourself and, the brand? Like, where do you see the brand going?
I mean, I would love to have our own like nail salon. I think that would be the end goal. Maybe multiple at 10 years would be the nice, maybe here and abroad, but somewhere where people can obviously go to get their nails done. Because I think whilst that there's a huge market of people who like to do their own nails, there's still a huge market of people who like to get them done professionally,
Right.
which I love to support that. And I think having a nail salon would be the best of both worlds. And buy products to take home if you want to do it and get the kind of
Right.
like, but can also still get it done in store. I'd like to see us in a physical presence. So, I'd like to see us stocked in, maybe like the Sephora's, Harrods,
Mhm.
those kind of nice places, so that people can buy the polishes from us. And yeah, I'd like to be running the business from somewhere in the Caribbean on the beach somewhere. That was the end goal.
Ooh, that'd be really, really cool. Yeah, but last but not least, where can people find you on social media and how can people support you and Telle Moi?
Sure. So, always Instagram. I feel like Instagram is like our main platform, but I have a TikTok, I have a Twitter, do also have a YouTube as well, where I kind of repurpose some of the tutorial videos to go on there just for very basic stuff. And again, I'm very simple in how I do things, so everything is
Mhm.
the basics of everything. But yeah, I'd say Instagram first for instance, and our website is tellemoi.co.uk. So you can obviously buy and support, which is, help me get some more products on board. So yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Natal, for jumping onto the show. Your work is absolutely great. I love what you're doing, with your business. Keep doing you, keep doing amazing things. And, I think, like I said there again, I love your packaging, very minimalistic, very simple. And that's you, like I said before, like keep doing you and, keep up the amazing work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to click the bell for notifications. Also follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Be sure to check out my website, ASIATHABIRD.com, and be on the lookout for more interviews to come very soon. Take care, stay healthy, and stay beautiful. Bye-bye.